Hey people, I just want to quickly do this video about, I had someone mention this book, so I dug it out, and one of the things I mentioned was, I know it's here, but it's a tiny book, and they said, oh yeah, it is a tiny book, but it's a good example of when you first got this book in the bookshops, £9, and it is a tiny book, it's like, it's 91 pages, I think, 93 pages, something like that, Animal Farm. But it's a legendary book, and someone was searching for it, not got a copy, they want a copy in the library or whatever. This is from, I think, at least 1994, you know what I mean? It's not an old book. But one of the quotes in the back got me thinking. It says, it's actually not from the story of Animal Farm, but it's from the advert from Penguin. It says, the quality paperback has arrived, and not just in bookshops. Lane was adamant that his Penguin should appear in chain stores and tobacconists and should cost no more than a packet of cigarettes. So I thought, how much should a packet of cigarettes cost, and how much should the book cost? Well, the price that they were selling it at, really expensive, really, £9 for what it is. I've just done some maths here, because we do make books as well at the headquarters. We don't just publish books, we actually make the books. We don't do them in the shop, but we do make books. So I've got a lot of experience in the costs of making books. So this isn't even like industrial cost. This is literally, as you see there at the top, Asda is the main resource from this. So what do you need to make a book? Well, the actual resources that are passed on in the product are the paper, which is your biggest cost, paper. So paper is the biggest cost. Ink is a very minimal. I mean, even for the 400-page books, the ink is like minimal. Like, you don't even notice it, I swear. It's pence. It's like less than 10 pence. So we'll say, is it less than or less than? I've got to figure that out, but either way, less than 10 pence. Electric, again, really minimal. You probably won't even notice it. Less than, we'll just say less than 10 pence. Labour, well, that depends on your method. You can pretty much get it down to machines doing pretty much everything. You'll have to do a few brush strokes and a few presses of the guillotine, a few tightening up of clamps, and that's it. You also need a little bit of space to do it. It needs to be dry space, but you can usually do it in your bedroom. So right, we're figuring out the cost here. Go to Asda, buy 500 sheets of paper for £3. That is the cheapest cost of paper that I can find. 500 sheets from Asda for £3. They will be cheaper if you buy the big massive batches. 500 sheets is called a I forgot what it's called now. It's basically that's what you get basically. It's usually £3, £4, something like that. Figure out the cost of this book if it was a quarter of an A4 sheet of paper. That's the size of one book, yeah? So you get, out of 500 sheets of paper, you get 4,100 page books. 4,000 pages, so you get 40 100 page books, yeah? So that comes to 7.5 pence of paper per book. So then you got to add on this other stuff. So we've done the paper cost, biggest cost. Well, ink is minimal. We're saying less than 10 pence. Realistically, it's going to be probably less than 3 pence, honestly. If you're using a tankless printer, using a cartridgeless printer or printer, these costs look 7.5. Writing these frees on 7.5. We're still less than 20p. Honestly, it's still less than 20p to produce that, and that's not just now. That's not just like for the book itself. It's like current day economics. This is in terrible economics. It's still going to only cost you about 20 pence to make this book at home. You can obviously spend a bit more with the cover. You want the cover, so you want to put 3 pence into the cover. Maybe you want a waterproof cover, So you want to be putting, that's going to be a big cost if you want something to be waterproof, which is a decent investment because it'll put another 100 years onto your book. So maybe you want to put 13p into your cover, but still you're coming down to like 33p, and that's for a decent copy of a 100-page book. But again, the biggest cost, look, 7.5 pence for the 100 pages. Say you want to have a 400-page book, you want to be times in this number by 4, 7.5, so you end up with 30p in the paper. This is for a 400 page. This is for a quarter of A4 size, so that's how mine are made. You know what I mean? Mine are made with this thing called Clairefontaine paper though, so my paper is like Bible style paper. It's scritter, it's bank paper. It's really rare, it's really expensive, so these ones don't cost 30p because of the paper's more expensive. But this paper is not premium paper, you know what I mean? This is what you get in a standard book. So you can get archival paper, which means the ink will stay on the paper for longer. You can also, it's honestly, mix it up as much as you want, but at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is it's not as cheap as a packet of cigarettes. It's like as cheap as, probably as cheap as a cigarette, if not cheaper. Do you know what I mean? This is one of the things that I started realising with books and with cigarettes is a big thing. It's funny that we see that quote in Animal Farm, and I'm just trying to put together like political, we've got voting day and stuff today, so we've got the establishment there, we've got I think I've got Jeremy Corbyn's Secret Diary, and a few other political books about. So yeah, it's just interesting that all works out. But one of my resolutions when I first started making books is I wanted to make a book every time I smoked a cigarette, and that was coming up to 2 years ago now, and I quit smoking 2 years ago. So the books now, they come out like this, but they started out on this level, which is still okay, but these ones are pennies to make, do you know what I mean? I started out with sellotape, but I could maybe go into the whole process of how to make books, but it's really simple, to be honest. You can find your own innovative ways. I figured it out myself, and it's one of the things that I'm hoping to expand into here, because it is just super cheap. How much are Amazon charging people to make books? This is one of the things I do whenever I look at the books. I pick a book up and I look at the price of it. I'll look at like $7.99, and then it's sold again for £4. So it's not just worth $7.99, it's sold again. That's the thing. You buy oil, you buy £8 worth of oil, you use it up. You can't just sell it again. That's the thing about books. Books are one of the most valuable things on. But anyway, I always look at how many pages it is, how big the guillotine needs to be to cut it, how wide it is. Can you get it in an A4? Can you do this? Can you do that? Like what the paper is. Try and tot it all up in my head to figure out how much profit they made per book. Another thing, when people say the labour cost, seriously, there's no labour involved. There's a very minimal amount of labour. Once you've done all the things up front, you built your template, you've got all your things, you've figured out your measurements, you've figured out where to put your cuts, you've figured out where you're going to store it all whilst the glue's drying, all that sort of stuff. There's no work at all. So, anyway, coming soon then. Custom books available here. Oh god. Custom books. And I'm going to be doing it really cost effective. It's going to be minimum order of 4 books. Minimum orders. So we'll figure that out soon. You'll see it on the website here, oymwild.com. Yeah, peace.